Okay, so if you've ever found yourself lost in the world of Dune, dreaming of Arrakis and those fierce Fremen, well, you've probably wondered where Frank Herbert got his inspiration.
Right. It had to come from somewhere real, somewhere dramatic.
Exactly. So forget the usual tourist trails. Today, we're setting off on let's say, a raw, sometimes tough, but pretty incredible journey. We're looking for those real world inspirations deep in the heart of Algeria.
And it's a huge country. Our sources for this dive cover a lot of ground geographically and culturally.
Mhm.
We're piecing together accounts from the Mediterranean coast, which still has this kind of European feel,
Yeah.
all the way to these incredibly isolated oasis cities deep in the Sahara, and then even further, exploring this massive plateau,
Yeah.
Tassili Niger. It's basically the world's biggest open-air art museum.
Wow. So, our mission here for you listening is to really peel back the layers of Algeria. We'll look at the French colonial history, which is complex.
Definitely.
We'll see some amazing Roman ruins, try to understand these really strict, almost medieval desert communities, the Ibidites. And finally, meet the Tuareg people, the likely real world Fremen, right?
That's the connection everyone makes, yeah.
Mm.
It's a journey that tracks how that European influence kind of fades the deeper you go into this land that's still, well, pretty wild for tourism.
Okay, let's start where a lot of modern Algerian history kicks off. The northern coast, in Algiers. The sources immediately point out this contrast. Land and parts of the city, the lower city, are described as practically France. But what does that actually feel like on the ground now?
Well, you really can't escape the legacy. It's not just the buildings, though the architecture is very Parisian in places. It's baked into the culture still.
How so?
I mean, the sources mention everyday things. People eating baguettes, French being spoken alongside Arabic, that kind of thing. It's not just history in a book. It's like part of the daily fabric, even decades after independence.
And a really potent symbol of that whole colonial period is the botanical garden there, right? I loved this detail.
Oh yeah, the Jardin d'Essai.
The French set it up specifically to gather plants from all their colonies around the world. It wasn't just, a nice park.
Exactly. It was a statement.
Yeah.
And the layout itself was like a map of their colonial mindset.
Yeah.
It was actually split into two halves.
Okay.
You had the English side, all dense, sort of chaotic jungle. So wild, apparently, that they filmed the very first Tarzan movie there.
No way! Really?
Yeah. And then you had the French side, completely different. Manicured lawns, geometric flower beds, everything very orderly, representing that desire to, classify and control nature.
So the garden itself was like a little model of the empire imposing French order on perceived chaos.
It's a very visual metaphor, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if we head west along the coast a bit, we hit Tapaza. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Right. I know the name Albert Camus wrote about it, didn't he?
He did, which brought it some fame.
Yeah.
But its real historical weight comes from being a genuine, proper Roman colony.
It's kind of amazing to think of Roman forums and temples so far from Rome itself. We see Roman ruins all over Europe, but seeing them right on the North African coast.
With the Mediterranean practically lapping at the stones.
Yeah, it gives them this different feel, this sort of exotic quality. It really underscores how vast that Roman world was and how vital this coast must have been for trade.
Connects the dots perfectly,
Thank you,
doesn't it?
yeah.
But now, okay, we have to leave the coast behind, and the sources are clear. This next step south, deeper into the Sahara, it needs a whole different approach. We shift from looking at history to dealing with immediate security realities.
Right. That shift sounds pretty abrupt when we fly into Gardia, an oasis city right in the Sahara's heart. This is where that wild travel aspect really hits you. You mentioned security.
Yeah, it's not a case of just landing and hailing a taxi.
Yeah.
The sources stress you absolutely need an armed escort, maybe even a convoy, just to get from the Gardati airport into the city itself.
Wow.
And this isn't just being overly cautious. It's based on real incidents. There's that well-known story about the Spanish tourist who was kidnapped right there.
Oh, right. Taken across the border.
Yeah, into Mali. Only got released after reportedly $1 million ransom was paid. So the security measures, they're serious and they're necessary.
Okay, so once you're through that security layer, you step into something else entirely. Gardia isn't just one city. It's 5 fortress cities, Ksars, kind of packed together on these hillsides, described as looking like human anthills.
It's a good analogy, especially for the way they live. This is the homeland of the Ibadite sect, and they have this remarkably organized communal system.
How does that work?
Well, they basically run things as a very tight-knit community, almost like a cooperative, you could say. They coordinate farming, they sort out community problems together, they even pool resources to fund things like education for the young people. It's a kind of medieval collectivism almost.
And the city structure reflects that.
Totally.
Yeah.
The mosque is always at the very highest point. It's not just for prayer, it's the watchtower. And it's also where they'd store communal food, water, even weapons, in case of a siege. Everything designed for collective survival.
But culturally, the thing that seems to jump out most from the sources is the intensity of the social rules, particularly the dress code for women.
Yeah, that's probably the most visually striking aspect for an outsider. It's complete covering. The face is hidden so strictly that only one eye is visible, peering through a tiny slit in the fabric.
It's hard to comprehend that level of separation, and the sources describe how it plays out day to day.
Right, strict gender separation in public spaces. Like, a man has to make noise before stepping onto his own balcony, just so any women on neighboring balconies have time to hide themselves.
Wow.
And the detail about women shopping at the market, they apparently do it through a small hole in a fence, passing money and goods back and forth without direct contact.
That level of isolation is just stunning.
It is. And what makes it even more fascinating is the paradox. You have this intense medieval social structure existing right alongside modern technology. Electricity, mobile phones.
Internet access.
Exactly. Young people studying programming online in a place that otherwise feels centuries old. It's a real clash of worlds.
And that clash produces some really compelling personal stories, doesn't it? Like the young programming student mentioned in the sources.
Ah, yeah. He's using the internet, engaging with global tech every day, but when it comes to marriage, he's completely bound by tradition.
He was complaining about the cost, right?
Bitterly. About the kalim, the bride price. It was something like $4,000, which he absolutely couldn't afford. A huge barrier for a young guy.
So what was his solution?
Well, he half-jokingly, half-seriously said he wanted to marry a Russian woman because that would bypass the need to pay the kalim to a local family.
Okay.
But then, almost in the same breath, he voiced this fear that a foreign wife might be, quote, disobedient.
Wow. So he can interact with, like, American university courses online, but his view on gender roles is still completely shaped by these ancient Ibadite traditions.
It's the perfect example of that tension in modern Algeria. The pole between tradition and the outside world.
Right. Okay, let's push even deeper now. We're heading far south, a really major trek to Tassili Najar, this huge plateau bordering Libya and Niger. And this was the main goal of the journey described in the sources, wasn't it? Because it's this massive outdoor art gallery.
Yeah, the world's largest, they say. And getting there sounds intense. The planning is crucial. Apparently, January is the best time to go.
Why January?
Well, partly the heat. It's still hot, like maybe 30 degrees Celsius, but it's manageable compared to summer. But the main reason, snakes, yeah, the dangerous ones like the horned viper, are hibernating then. You need every advantage because this is serious off-roading. No roads at all, just tracks only the guides know.
Said if you break down or get stuck.
You're properly stuck. No phone signal, no easy way to call for help. You're relying entirely on your guide and your vehicle.
And the landscape itself sounds like something from another planet.
The descriptions are incredible. Surreal rock formations, towers, arches, sculpted by wind and sand into these impossible shapes. The sources compared it to paintings by Salvador Dali, or maybe Mars, as described by Ray Bradbury. Just utterly alien.
But it's the rock art that's the real treasure. It doesn't just take you to another place, but another time.
Absolutely. There's just so much of it spread over this vast area. Some pieces are estimated to be up to 8,000 years old.
Wow.
And this art is the proof, the visual evidence, that the Sahara wasn't always a desert. It used to be green.
A green Sahara. So the art shows animals that couldn't possibly live there now.
Exactly. We're talking rhinos, giraffes, elephants, even hippos, all depicted on the rocks. It proves the whole area was once fertile savanna.
Incredible. And are there different styles of art?
Yeah, mainly two types. You have the petroglyphs. Those are carvings or engravings scratched right into the rock surface. And then you have the frescoes. Those are painted, often using mineral pigments. The frescoes tend to show more variety, more detail about life and, well, rituals.
Ah, rituals. That brings us to that famous, slightly controversial figure, doesn't it?
Right. The so-called Great God of Mars is this huge fresco about 6 meters high.
And the French ethnographer who documented it, Henri Lot, he had some pretty wild ideas about it.
He did. He was fascinated by figures that looked like they were wearing helmets, maybe spacesuits. He pushed the idea of paleo-contact ancient astronauts visiting Earth. And that name, Great God of Mars, really captured the public imagination.
Sensational stuff. But what's the thinking now?
Well, the modern scientific consensus is a bit more down to earth. Based on comparing this art with other sites and ethnographic studies, the figures are almost certainly depicted wearing elaborate ritual masks and costumes for ceremonies.
So proof of a complex, vibrant ancient culture, just maybe not aliens.
Exactly. Still amazing, just in a different way.
Okay, so ancient cultures thrived here, but the people who have truly mastered this harsh landscape today are the Tuareg.
They're often called the Kurds of Africa.
Why that comparison?
Well, it's sadly quite apt. They're a distinct people, a nation of maybe 3 or 4 million, but they're split across 5 different countries: Algeria, Libya, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, without a state of their own.
And this is the group that's the most direct link back to Dune, right?
Absolutely. They're widely seen as the inspiration for Herbert's Fremen, that fierce independence, that incredible ability to survive in the deep desert. It matches perfectly.
Masters of Arrakis. I mean, the Sahara.
Right. And they even have their own ancient script, Tifinagh, which is older than the Berber scripts. They have a deep, distinct cultural identity.
And what's fascinating, especially after talking about the Ebadites, is the cultural reversal regarding veiling.
Striking, isn't it? Among the Tuareg, it's traditionally the men who veil, not the women. They wear the shash or tagelmust, that deep blue or indigo turban, wrapped so only their eyes show.
Why do the men veil?
The sources suggest that historically, seeing a man's uncovered face was considered a very bad omen, almost taboo. It offered spiritual protection, but also became a strong cultural marker. Meanwhile, Tuareg women are generally unveiled and often hold a more prominent social position compared to women in neighboring Arab or Berber cultures.
Such a contrast, and they are the ultimate desert survivors.
Totally. Their traditional economy was based on the trans-Saharan caravan trade, moving salt, dates, other goods across vast distances. Or, sometimes raiding those caravans too, historically.
And today, their absolutely essential role is as guides, right?
Indispensable. They don't just know the route. They read the landscape intuitively. They navigate by the sun, the stars, the wind patterns, even the texture and density of the sand dunes. They know exactly where a 4x4 can drive and where it'll sink. It's knowledge passed down through generations.
And their daily life reflects that deep connection. Eating that simple bread together, baked right in the hot ashes.
And those elaborate tea ceremonies, pouring the sweet, strong tea back and forth, creating the froth. It's a ritual that structures the day, provides social connection in that vast emptiness.
Amidst all that toughness, though, the sources share that really poignant story about the guide, Ayob.
Yeah, the tragic romance. He guided a group that included a Japanese woman, and apparently they fell in love.
But she went back to Japan.
She went back, and later he came to believe or was told that she died tragically while climbing Mount Fuji.
But the source material suggests that's unlikely.
Highly improbable, yeah. Fatalities on Fuji are rare, especially for experienced climbers, which she likely wasn't presented as. But Ayob clung to this story. It became his narrative of lost love.
It shows that even these incredibly resilient desert masters carry that universal human core of romance and, well, maybe self-spun tragedy. It's very moving.
It really is. Adds another layer to understanding them.
So, what a journey we've traced. From Algiers, feeling almost French, through the medieval discipline of Gardea, to the ancient art and raw emptiness of Tassili-Noger, Algeria definitely offers travel that feels genuinely wild.
Yeah, it's not like nearby Morocco with its highly developed tourism infrastructure. Algeria seems to demand more from the traveler, more resilience, more self-reliance.
And crucially, in the deep south, a real dependence on the skill and trustworthiness of the local Tuareg guides for basic safety and navigation.
That's the key takeaway, I think. It's less polished, perhaps, but what Algeria offers is this incredibly genuine, unfiltered view of cultures grappling with immense change. You see the Abadites trying to maintain these ancient, strict traditions.
Right, in the face of the internet.
Exactly. And you see the Tuareg trying to maintain their nomadic independence and identity against forces like national borders and modernization.
And that idea of borders brings us right to our final thought. The source material makes this point. The borders slicing up the Sahara on the map. They're just straight lines somebody drew, ignoring the reality of the land, the ancient caravan routes, the culture.
It lands on a map in an office somewhere.
Right. So here's something to think about. What happens when a powerful, independent culture like the Tuareg, one that has thrived in that desert for thousands of years, essentially refuses to recognize those lines? When they choose instead to live by the older, deeper rules of the sand, the stars, and their own traditions, What does that mean for them and for the countries those lines created?